Welcome to the Legacy Through Land podcast, where we're dedicated to empowering you on your journey to land ownership and management. I'm Tyler Markham, your host, and each week we'll dive deep into the world of land investing, management strategies, and the transformative experiences tied to owning your very own piece of dream dirt. With our expert guests, inspiring stories, and actionable advice, we're committed to helping you become a better land manager, hone your investing skills, and start building your family's legacy through land. Now, let's dive into this week's episode. We hope you'll enjoy.
All right. Well, if you can't tell, definitely not in my studio at home. We're in the middle of nowhere, but for us as hunters, it happens to be somewhere. So we're going to call this one the State of the Eighth, because it is November 8th, and we are in the land of Lincoln. So Brian's been gracious enough to let us use the RV. So this has, or as my daughter Romy calls it, the RB. This has become our base camp. We're at a nice campground that has been accommodating enough to let us stay here a handful of days. Out here, just so you guys know, they turn everything off. The 16th is D-Day out here. So they don't really care what else is going on, or if you offer to pay more or just be nice. They are definitely asking you to leave on the 16th. So T-minus 8 days that we have to hang out here and chase buck deers. So it's going to be a live recording of kind of where we're at. So I'd say the tail end of what we're going to talk about is actually this week. But these kind men meet the prodigy, Braden. We call him the prodigy. He's kind of annoyingly good at most stuff, so we call him the prodigy. And then we have Papal here, Brian. And, whatever. It's fine.
We'll go with Pat.
Yeah, Pappy.
I just brought Pap home the other day. I actually married him.
This is a deer Pap. But we for sure are going to go on some tangents, but let's have some fun with this. Let's kick it off with your guys' topics. Hope you guys will enjoy this. This is as live as we can get it. If you love this, tell us, comment, subscribe, follow, message us, whatever. But we really were hoping to do an actual live. There is a problem when you're in the middle of nowhere, and our dear friend Elon Musk has not offered to sponsor us yet.
Zero Wi-Fi.
Zilch out here. Nothing. We got nothing. So we are bringing this to you via QuickTime Player recording because it's what we can. So we will do a live for sure. I'd say I'll have to get a Starlink, or just we'll have to, you guys, if you've already listened to the podcast about me not getting the farm that would have had a house. I don't actually think that had internet either, but would have been a start.
Car was running pretty deep in case you can't tell.
It is. There's coarse salt in it still, especially being out here. I just think about those trees today and what they would be like. But anyways, let's jump in, guys. Where are we going to start? What topics are we going to start with? Point of all that rambling was we will do a live when we have interwebs. Right now, this is posting whatever Wednesday is. Hopefully you guys have already killed a buck deer and you don't need any of our advice, but pretending you haven't.
Yeah.
Where are we going to start?
Where we at, Braden?
Yeah, Brian, so if you remember on the last podcast, all three of us were together. You kind of gave your ideas and your guess of what would happen and what we would see from the start of season to October 20th. How did that come out? Were you right, wrong, and how did that historically look?
Well, so last year, I think I said it several times, and I wrote about it a couple of times. I can't remember 10, 15 years. I can't remember being a better October to kill a big deer than last October. It was, you had big temp drops with seasonal temps. Nothing ever really got out of hand, and you had 10, 15 degree temperature drops regularly. We had low light conditions on multiple occasions throughout October. And I think if you take a look at social media last year, if you remember, it lit up pretty good. And there was a reason for that. Now, as good as last year was, this year may be just as bad. This is
polar. Yeah. As amazing as that was, this one was equally terrible.
This one was rough. This one was, and let me say why it was rough. It was rough because I can't remember ever at any time.
You can't. Oh no, keep going. I'm sorry.
I can remember seeing Octobers that had high temps, and which obviously is not really conducive, for great deer movement. But I've never seen winds out of the east this many days. It was, I really would like to go back and just document how many days had an E in it. It was unbelievable to me. I know the first 9 or 10 days straight had E's in them. Now, you say to yourself, well, make the adjustment. And, obviously, we did do that, but
to the best of our ability.
Yeah.
I don't know that it was successful.
Yeah, and if you talk, in generalities, I don't care who you talk to, they're all going to tell you, east access, and it means something. And again, we'll go into that at another time, but it was pretty rough with given temps, no light conditions at all. Yeah, it was rough.
October was pretty good for me. I had a great October.
Yeah.
He really would like to thank us for
great stand you hung there, Brian. So,
sheesh.
Yeah, but
worked real nice.
Not that he went in one night and shot the first deer that was good, that met his new mark.
What did we score? By the way, we scored it. I can't remember.
132 and an eighth, I think.
Okay, yeah. I remember putting a tape on it, but I couldn't remember what it scored. Yeah, it was actually a good buck. You made a really good shot on it, exceptional shot. We had
first one to hit the 130 mark.
Yeah. So hey, there's
Well, we should camp on that for a second, because I think I've said it on the podcast for sure, but I think this comes to mind of listening. I listened to the We Are a Hunter and Chris Brackett podcast on the way here, and Chris said, these deer have skipped steps. I'm talking about this week, but I think a lot of times in our own careers, I know I skipped steps, and the steps that I wish I had not skipped was just killing a bunch of deer with a bow, like a bunch, because I didn't do that. I got really, and I don't think this is an excuse. It's just framing how did it happen. And the point of all this is we're trying to keep him from doing this. Is I got really into the filming side, and got really into producing hunts, or capturing the hunt. Shouldn't be sharing. That was another challenge. But the capturing the hunt then led to if you don't get it on film, then you don't get a shoot. And if you don't get it on film, you don't have the harvest. And there was many, many, many years and encounters and even hunts that A, you didn't go on if you couldn't film it, or B, you didn't shoot because it wasn't in film. And it just, I don't know, I committed to that pretty early. And I don't guess that I would have a regret with that. I don't guess I would say it's a regret, but I don't want it to be a regret for him, where we've set this bar of hey, you got to shoot a 140 plus, or you got to have 7 sets of sheds to this deer, and it's got to be 9.5 before you'll be fulfilled. That is all rhetoric. And that's a nice way to put it.
Yeah, for sure.
So I'm happy for him. I'm really happy, because I always said, go shoot a deer that makes you excited. That's it. Shoot something that makes you excited, because there's a day where that bar, whether you want it to or not, will continue to rise. And sometimes it's deflating.
It is. I talked about it on our very first time we got together. I talked about it. I miss that. There's a part of me that misses simply seeing antlers and beginning that jake.
Buddy, that first 4-point that walked out today, it was just
that's good. Then
4-point running across the field, and
that's the way it should be.
I said, that guy better watch himself on Tuesday.
He's get bigger, get bigger, get bigger.
And I was fortunate. I grew up in a generation in a state where, you could kill multiple bucks and a lot of does. And so I was fortunate that I did get to shoot. You know how many spike bucks I've shot? From the time I had started shooting, how many 6s, basket 8s, but, that's part of that process. But it. But when you live in Ohio, you only get 1 buck.
Yeah, and I think that was a lot of it too. I got the itch to be in Ohio at 18. I got the itch to hunt there, and I shot a few deer that. Let's say October 10th were exciting, but November 15th they weren't. It's dude, this is a long time to be done, and so you kind of just shift to, I'm okay to chase and eat tag soup longer than. You are when you're young, and I I don't know. It's just weird, but yeah. So, keep track of the sidebars. Sidebar one.
Sidebar one. And I'll leave this one alone. I was rooting against you to not kill. And I'll tell you why. There will come a time, and remember this. Remember I said this. I promise you, there will come a time where you'll have a season that will absolutely turn everything on its head for you. But it's going to be one of those seasons that you're in the stand so many times that you get to see the full spectrum of the season and what the deer are doing. And I'm telling you, that season is the one that when it starts to really click. And that's what happened for me at about your age, about 19 or 20. And once I saw it and struggled, boy, I tell you, that was when it really kicked in. So I was kind of rooting against you because I think that was your first set or second set, maybe?
Second set of the year.
Yeah. So now you're in a tree now, obviously, when you're filming Tyler and all that good stuff. But
well, he's hunting. We're both got tags, so we're doubling up.
All right, sidebar 2.
Hey, whatever. So we started with predictions from October 1st to 20th and how there was the swing there. You feel like we've closed that loop? It was weird. It's behind us.
Yeah, it's behind us. It was weird. And if you struggled, do not feel bad because there's a lot of people out there that really struggled this year. And so,
Now, did you see anything different transitioning from that the October 20th to the October 25th?
So generally, I would say if I were talking in generalities, that October 25th time frame roughly is that scrape line season in a nutshell. And so, we did see scrape lines begin to develop and we watched big deer, the crab claw buck. We watched the deer that we had left. I know saw a lot of guys. I hate to even talk about it because some guys down south, just really got ripped this year with the HD. But we started to see, again, what we should have been seeing. The issue was we weren't seeing the number of bucks being locked down. It's not uncommon, and you'll see it throughout your hunting career. You will see this, to see deer chasing. And again, this is a whole other topic, but in October, deer locked down in October. Big deer are already breeding in October. And so, but we didn't really see it this year that much, or at least, we didn't really see much at all.
This is, I think, when we were talking about, Chris said they skipped steps.
Yeah,
that was
absolutely.
the first time I heard someone word it that way. But I think it's really applicable.
Yeah, and we had zero light conditions, and the bucks were like, "Hey guys, I'm ready. What's up? What's up, ladies? Would that make you mad? But so that's what we really and truly. That's what we have been witnessing. I usually say from October 25th to about November the 3rd is scrape line season. Now, again, please don't blow me up out here, guys. I understand. There's some nuances in there, but the bucks were there and ready, but we just couldn't get the girls to play ball at that time. And it seems like, we've been on feeding pattern until, and I don't want to skip the steps, but,
where are we going next?
Yeah. What you touched base a little bit on that scrape season. What does that look like and how are we hunting that and what is like some specifics to look for during that quote unquote scrape season?
So deer become very patternable during that time. And the closer you get to November and as you run into November, the more frequently you'll see these deer hit their scrapes. I've seen deer hit the same scrape close to November the 5th or so, 2, 3, 4 times a day in daylight. So that's not uncommon. Now, they may not be visiting 4 times a day on October 22nd, but you'll start to see that pattern of regularity of them checking for that first doe. And so it's basically finding that the breeding scrapes, as I like to call them, or community scrapes. Obviously, we know that more than one buck will hit a scrape, but when you can find those where the topography lines up, They're coming directly out of the bedding area. Those are the ones, in my opinion, that are my favorite to hunt, because you're going to catch deer on their feet early, and you're going to catch them when they start hanging out late. You're going to catch them in daylight coming back. So the breeding scrapes on topography near bedding areas, those are money. In that first few days of November, whew, that's money. That's food plot money.
You said something about the topography. What are you looking for when you're looking at scrapes, or touch base on that topography side of it?
And it goes back to really just general hunting. And I think Tyler and I were having this conversation a little bit ago. Thermals are still, you have a big difference in ground temperature still in October. And thermals really, really, really come into play. And, if you have a major bedding area in a thicket, let's just say the Vinton County property, you're not going to get away with that thermal rise, because you'll never make it to the thermal rise before you get busted in the morning times. And until it gets colder, until we see some equalization in that ground temp and air temp.
And let's break this down a minute.
Yeah.
The property that Brian's talking about, we've got this farm in Vinton County. It's the one that I have said it's exciting to me, because the farm has forced me to go back to using SD card cameras. Admittedly so, that farm, and I promise I can stay on track here, but that farm has brought new excitement back for me, because there's no cell service there. Long term, I plan to build a cabin there and do the Airbnb thing, and I'll do Starlink there. I've been looking into that Cuddy Link system, and I'm pretty sure if someone's already done this, comment, but I'm pretty sure you can trick that system with the Starlink, or like even Spectrum, any internet. You can trick the Cuddy Link hub camera into believing that is cellular service. There's a way. Something about a router and some hard wiring and all that. But point is, eventually I'll get cellular camera ability there. But for now, we're back to SD card cameras. And it's been a really long time, like 100%. I'm saying this right now, live, no jokes. I have only used cellular cameras. I've only used those. Now, in our business, it's important for us to have the data. That's why I've only used cellular cameras for a long time. And we're fortunate to have properties in a handful of counties. So it's, obviously we could go down the whole litany of reasons why I think there's benefit to cellular cameras. We also could go way down in a rabbit hole about the idea that they spook deer and all these other things. We could also do that with gravity feeders, but we won't do that here today. Back to this Vinton farm. What he said earlier was, you will never get to the thermal rise. Like in that farm, for example, what I have learned just in the last 3 weeks that I've heard people talk about, and I've always just kind of let it go over my head or just kind of like dismissed it, was, when does a thermal rise start on a property? And here's what I have figured out on that property to use as an example. The thermal rise won't start until the sun can hit the forest floor. And I'm going to say in your area, or on your ridge, or in the spot you are at. And that matters, because what I heard someone say recently, I cannot remember what podcast it was on, but he said, there's a stand that he can hunt on the north side of a hill, much farther into the morning, because your scent is still dragging down the hollow. It's still falling, because the north side of the hill gets the sun last. What do we talk about with cellular cameras and solar panels? You always face them south. Why? Because the south gets the sun first. What do we talk about south-facing slopes in the winter? Because that's where you'll find sheds, because the deer get the sun first. Well, on the north side, to me, it comes into this thermal rise. And on that farm, there's ridges, big ridges on each side of the farm, east and west. Yeah? And there's even one south. So it kind of creates this bowl. And I'm not talking about like a West Virginia bowl or like a real deep bowl, or like, this is just a soft bowl. And I think, honestly, that it'll fool you. You don't think of it as a bowl until you get there and try to hunt in the morning. And I did it the other day. The sun wasn't hitting the forest floor. That's a lot. Daylight savings time, it didn't hit the forest floor until like 7:25 a.m. or 8:25 a.m. I mean, it was like way into the morning. So that is the window to get to, I just said, the window of what you're talking about is you don't see a thermal rise on that farm because the sun doesn't have the ability to do it until a certain time. And what we're saying is all the heat, all the action, shouldn't use heat. All the action on that farm is in the window of the hour that it doesn't have the thermal rise yet. Because the wind got right for me at like 8:30, 9 o'clock. Well, I was already mad and sweating and got busted twice. And it was like, dude, I am wearing this farm out. Like, should not be here. The deer were coming up the trail. We wanted them to come up.
Right.
They were busting me at like 150 yards. I wasn't even seeing them. I was just hearing them. So I knew, okay, there's something going on that we can't deal. But all right, whatever. Sidebar 3. Where
yeah. So that and the other thing about this is too, by the way, is there is something to scouting and understanding what you're looking at without a cell cam telling you. And it's been, this is a great farm. It really is.
Well, and I think we've even
farm.
saw that just a couple of days we've been here hunting pretty hard.
Yeah.
I mean, I'd say in the past 2 or 3 days, we've all seen collectively 30 or 40 deer, and
the camera saw
3 of them,
5.
and the camera saw 3 of them.
Yeah.
So, I think it's a big thing when you just get on boots on the ground,
Right.
looking and seeing what's in front of you.
Well, and somebody said a while back, like, your eyes are the best trail camera there ever was, and I'll disagree with that
Right.
at
I know what you
certain
mean.
ways because you're also burning a farm if you're in there doing things wrong.
Right.
But yeah, like our set this morning, we literally saw, and we'll get to this, we promise. We'll just tease a little bit. We saw at least 15 deer. We had to. $5, I don't know, a bunch of bucks. Like three came into shooting range. 1 we would have killed, but the camera on the food plot that we were 45 yards from, not a deer one. Those 2 bucks that we called in were on the other side of the corn, not 15 yards from that camera, marched straight down into death row.
Cornfield.
Whatever, they were on the other side of the corn.
We'll get to it, Tyler. We can't.
So you just, this is to the guys. I'm gonna, my assistant Hannah's husband Austin, my friend, he was like, dude, the deer haven't been on the camera. Yeah, there's 1 camera in a giant block of woods. That, if you're not seeing it, should tell you get in the tree. There's a reason you're not seeing them because they are moving.
They're there.
They are on some tail. Cool. I don't know where we.
Yeah, I don't know where we're at now. So you have to.
What we can kind of base off of this?
Yeah.
What were we seeing? Because we've been hunting in Ohio days prior to coming. Yeah. What did we see kind of days prior past that October 25th mark?
Yeah.
Before we headed on the road, what did it look like in the past week or 2?
So we did see deer hitting scrapes that we had made. If we remember Lambert, especially in the crab claw buck, I think he's a really good example of that. He was consistently hitting those scrapes, but he was doing it after dark. And
he was.
Yeah, he was. Yeah, because now he's daylighting. So, but
7 hours away.
Yeah. So
well, just quick deal. Like if you guys watch what we're talking about, if you watch our page, you watch the properties we have listed. Like this is stuff that's actively listed.
Oh, yeah.
Like, this isn't a secret.
Every single property we've talked about so far.
Yeah, I mean we're not like this isn't like off limits stuff. We only have 1 farm that's not listed now, and you're welcome to buy it, but it's just so good. We sold the 6 acres off of it. Yeah,
that's
so
going to be
the Muskingum 77. Yeah, I mean you come at us. We'll talk, but. Anyway, I just wanted to say, like, we're not talking about farms that you can't go out there and like look. Like, you guys want to think we're gaslighting? Like, go ahead, think it, because we're
every single property that's
we're
listed.
Hunting them while you think that.
when that person who truly knows deer hunting sees that 58, it's over.
It's the best. Well, you don't have to go to a property spotlight, but it's really literally the best. And we talked about this the other night.
Yeah,
like if somebody doesn't buy that soon and I sell some other stuff, I'm probably going to take it off and I'm going to build the canvas on it that you need people to see. I'll build it.
Because the genetics are there, the deer are there.
You. That farm is a slaughterhouse for big bucks. It's already I would say a 7.5 out of 10.
Yeah, it may be better than that. I mean, it's a blank canvas. It can be.
So
what
today,
you want
with no improvements, I think it's 7.5.
Yeah, with no improvements.
This is our Muskingum County 58 acre tract. It is a 7.5 with 0 improvements. There isn't even a feeder on it.
So I have.
Brian doesn't want you guys to like
it. With my deal with Tyler, I can hunt any of the farms at any time that I want to hunt, and I'm talking about the 58. So I mean, take it for what it's worth. Yeah, that thing is awesome. But anyway.
We're talking about scrapes.
So what were we seeing before?
We're seeing a lot of it happen after dark. We're seeing the does still with their fawns. We're not seeing a lot of fawns and button bucks by themselves in the woods, which is typically an indicator that the doe's giving off some pheromones and she's ready to go. And we're not, we just didn't see that. And I can't remember. I'm having a senior moment here, but whoever said they're skipping steps. So that's
Chris.
Okay. Yeah. I hate to quote him, but yeah. But yeah. Sorry. I'll stop.
Don't worry, he'll blast us next week.
Yeah,
we'll get so many more followers.
Yeah.
So,
we're getting tens of views. We might get 20.
But
please, Chris Brackett, blast us. It's fine.
But but he is right. That's exactly what we're seeing too.
Okay, well let's unpack this as long as it doesn't take us an hour. What steps did they skip?
So
if we're talking about skipping steps.
Yeah. So generally speaking, by the 10th of October, 15th of October, somewhere in that window, about 10% of the does are already bred. And you get up into the 31st of October, and that number gets exponentially larger. And
what do you think it goes to by Halloween?
I think last year, we saw probably close to, if not slightly in excess of 50% of the does. That's how good our October was last year.
All right, what do you think it's this year?
Oh, I think we're going to see some intense action. I think it's probably less than 30%.
Less than 30 up to Halloween.
Up to Halloween, I think it's way less than 30, actually.
Yeah, so we're talking about, to Halloween, if we stay in this little phase deal here. To Halloween, we saw maybe 30%.
Yeah.
This year,
maybe. And I don't even, I'll be honest with you, I don't think it's that high. I really don't.
I thought you were going to say 20.
Yeah, I would like to.
Well, whatever. It's not like we have
it's super low.
Yeah, we don't have a high fence pin here to examine.
It's super low because we just haven't seen very many. We've seen one or two that but it's way down. Now, having said that, this is a good nutrition year. Good nutrition years tend to have a longer bell grade inside the rut. Lower nutrition years is very intense, but it's short. And so we should have, we were set up to have a really long rutting season.
Yeah.
Now, since we didn't get the light events in October, Katie bar the door here shortly. We'll get to that. But
so we went to Halloween.
Went to Halloween. So
give like the Reader's Digest version. What steps were skipped, you think, specifically?
I think that a lot of the does never had the light conditions right to get bred, to come into estrus
at a normal slope.
At a normal slope, yeah.
Okay, because we're going to get to what we think's happening or happened as we're recording.
So now I think that there are way more does that need bred than a normal year.
Right, and this is right now.
Right now.
State of the 8th. All right, but let's back up a second. Back up, viewers, listeners. Pretend he didn't say anything. Between Halloween and the 8th, what happened?
Same conditions. The bucks were ready to go. We saw more scrapes opening up. Matter of fact, I just one example. I made a mock scrape on the Vinton County property, and I just checked it before we left.
Yep.
And my one mock scrape turned into 5 mock scrapes, or a 1 mock scrape and 4 real ones within a 15-yard period. Bucks are charged, man. They're ready to go. They just got to get the girls to cooperate,
Okay, so, all right, I want to unpack. All right, I'm trying to think deeper here. We were just talking about this on the way back. This morning, we all hunted till like 1 o'clock, and we would have hunted all day, but there was this rain coming through. And it is raining on the roof now, so I feel less bad, but anyways. Jay Gregory. We were talking about Jay Gregory, and he literally said today, don't, go out and read it for yourself, everybody. But Jay, I think he does a really good job. He and a ton of others, but he does a good job just storying himself from a very digestible level to me. Like, everyone's just friends with Jay Gregory. It's no big deal. But he said it was something like the worst first 7 days of November he's ever seen in his entire
what he
career.
said, yeah.
Okay. And he did say he didn't even see a deer yesterday. And this is everybody, back into this. This is the dude that's killed a absolute metric pile of deer, lives in the Mecca of Iowa, has access in multiple states, yada, 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 yada. Didn't see a deer yesterday on an all-day sit in a bedding thicket in Zone 5 or whatever, southeastern Iowa, we can say. So what I'm confused by, what you're saying is the does still weren't ready. What I thought that observation is that we're in lockdown already, potentially, because isn't lockdown indicative of so many does being available to breed that there's not a lot of cruising?
That's exactly what I was thinking when he was talking about it.
Okay.
I was like, are we going to see more of a rut or less of a rut because there's more to lock down with now?
So maturity level of bucks. Here's what I think. If you had Jay sitting right there, and a ton of respect for him.
Feel free to come on, Jay.
Yeah, feel free, Jay. A ton of respect for that guy. So the mature deer are already locked down. The mature
I don't care what you need to do.
Are already locked down.
We're trying our best, everybody.
So
don't hit the table anymore, or you're kicked out.
We're destroying the car speakers right
it's
now.
These it's the springs. No
We're
pressure.
trying, guys. We're
no
trying.
pressure. Solomon, audio editor. No pressure. I'll just hold these springs.
So I think what Jay was saying, and I think what a lot of other people would say, is, there's some does that are being bred, but the mature deer that you would normally see up going, they're locked down. Now, they were locked down back in October too. And, so it's not like...
What is locked down? I want to play dumb here.
Okay, so lockdown is the doe will choose the buck that she breeds with. So they're not going to come up to a 4-point and say, "Hey, buddy, how you doing? You looking good there, young fella." That's not typically how it works anyway. Okay. So right now, there's not enough does to create the frenzy that we see in November with the woods just going wild. And what that frenzy is the 3 and the 4-year-old deer. They've got a chance. Everybody else is busy out here. And here's where you'll see it if you think back over time. You'll hear people make this comment, and it drives me bananas. This is the single one comment that drives me more crazy than anyone. Well, the little deer are up chasing now. The big boys will start soon. That's the silliest comment you can ever possibly make. The big boys have been breeding for a month. So that's not true. What it is this frenzy that you're seeing, that is the 3 and 4-year-old deer. They know there's so many does available. They've got a chance now because the big mature deer, they're already locked down. They're already with the doe. And you have to equate that to, turkey hunters will tell you, you can't call a gobbler away from a hen. Well, you're not getting that buck away from a doe who's receptive. It's not going to happen. Why would he leave her to try to go look for another one? He's not going to do that until the job is finished.
And you don't see him because he doesn't leave her.
Correct.
He doesn't move, and we don't see them when they don't move. They do exist. They don't crawl in a hole. They're not under the ground.
Right.
They're just stuck with a doe. And so you're telling me something. I'm going to openly admit this. I've always heard this. I never knew if I believed it or not. You are saying the doe actually will choose the buck.
Yes.
And I'm going to say if she can.
That's a very good point. If she can. So that's why you'll oftentimes see big mature deer even up on their feet during that peak, which is around November the 14th, roughly. And that's roadkill studies by biologists across the Midwest. That's typically the very peak of the breeding season, give or take a day or two, almost every year. But there are micro events inside that Belgrade. But anyway, that's why you'll even see him get up and running, because he knows that there are many available does out there. That's why he's making himself visible, going and going and going. There's not that many available does out there now. And the ones that are, they've came to him. And that's why you're not seeing these big deer up on their feet up till November the 8th here. But
So why did we already lock down early? Because
Well-
this gets back to skipping steps, but why did that happen?
well, so does will come into estrus when their milk sacs are adequately dried, and sometimes that's does who have, most of the times, the early does, that's those who are healthy, have good nutrition, and have probably lost their young to predation earlier in the spring. Those does are prepared that when we get a light event in October to have young. So he will lock down with the doe from 48 to 72 hours, every doe he breeds. And, there was a study done not that long ago, and if any of you guys have it out there, put it in the comments, but the average mature deer only breeds about, on average, 6 to 8 does a fall. Now, that's kind of hard for people to believe. You mean to tell me that mature deer is only breeding 6 to 8 does? Yes, that's about it. Stop and think about it. If he's with him for 3 days, that's 18 days of the cycle. And, if he spends another full day running around looking for one.
I was just getting ready to say, and this is all after he is successfully locked with one.
Yeah. So
what we get to see as hunters, and we all dream of the rut, and you dream of hearing a grunt, and then the leaves crashing, and then you get to turn around, and you dream of grabbing your bow, and you dream of the doe coming through, and then you dream of yelling at the buck and stopping him and just drilling him, and you dream of calling your dad or whoever your first call is. You dream of all that. Everything we're talking about is only in a microcosm window of when he is off of a doe, and he's looking for a doe, and some of that is he's looking for a doe. We've shot him when he's looking for a doe. He's chasing a doe in my scenario I just built, the one we dream of.
Right.
Well, that's like the grand finale of the fireworks. He's technically on one. And we're seeing, saying the chase. The one I always love, and I used to be guilty of this forever, is like, they're just not chasing.
Right.
They're just not chasing them.
Right.
Well, I mean,
They did chase. They just don't need to anymore.
They're successful.
They're successful, correct. And so,
they're good at it.
So if you go back through social media or talk to a lot of your buddies, here's a common theme that you will hear this year a lot, and you'll hear it every year, that you don't have within the Belgrade of the rut, when you don't have multiple light events, you will have people say, I saw 2 or 3 bucks on the same doe. That happens on the average year, usually early in the season and late on the tail end of the season. But this year, we've seen competition, within herds. And it again, if you've seen multiple bucks chasing the same doe this year, drop that in the comment. But you're going to see that quite a bit this year, or they have up to this point. Because we went through a big change here, and I think we've stepped around it probably long enough. If you're ready to talk about it,
let's jump to the and I think it's hopefully we'll see the change being talked about with the Gregories and the whomever else that are saying. Like, I even read Don Higgins' report, and Don's, it was very slow. It was very slow. It was very slow. This stuff. It's hard for me to digest some of this as a hunter who just gets incredibly excited when you flip the calendar from OCT to NOV. You just think that somehow these deer just know that it's November 1st and they're supposed to do the thing, and it's just supposed to be beautiful and it's awesome. And they don't really live by the calendar that we live by. They live by God's calendar. But I cannot think back, if I really would think of my first 7 days of November historically as a diehard bow hunter, I don't know of a ton of luck I've had in the first 7 days of November almost ever. And maybe and the ones that were more successful, we would have to dive into like the micro weather, pressure, all the things that could turn it. But like, I think of my biggest deer encounters, my biggest deer harvest, they're usually the second week in November.
Yeah.
With that being said, if you had to pick one day, whole year, in November, we'll keep it to November. If you had to pick one day out of the whole calendar, what day are you picking to sit all day in a stand?
November 10th for me.
And why is that? Just
because you still
history.
You still have some scraping. So you'll see scrapes wide open and then people will come out around the middle of November, so from the 15th to the 20th, and you'll notice that scrape hasn't been hit for a while. It's because he didn't have to look and advertise anymore. He doesn't have to send Facebook messages anymore. So around the 10th of November is when you'll get
sliding those DMs.
Yeah, he's sliding into those DMs. Yeah. So you'll get that. You'll get the best of both worlds around that 10th. For me personally, that's 7th or 8th through the 15th, or I can even make an argument for the 10th through the 20th, somewhere in that. That's a much better time frame for me, and the way I like to hunt. So anyway, but November 10th for me.
Well, I mean, I think we can kind of go ahead and get to the whole point of why we did this. Like, obviously, we're in Illinois.
It's popping now.
We're in Illinois.
So we might as well go ahead and say
it's now November 8th. We're coming up on these dates.
Yeah.
This is full day 2 now?
Yeah, full day 2. And we have a major light event. I mean, a significant light event that's going to happen for one. Let me see. It was overcast today, tomorrow, the next day. Look out. It is on.
What do you mean when you're talking about these light events?
So photoperiodism is the cause of the breeding cycle. Absence of light from the eye is the trigger. And so we just pulled the trigger right here.
Well, all right. So let's go a little deeper here, because we're all believers here. And what I think is so amazing about this, and I hope this is life-giving to all of you that are out there searching for, we're going to go into another one of my rut favorite statements. The rut was early this year. Oh, the rut's early. Or the rut's super late. I love it. I just have to say it in that voice because I used to be that guy as well. I literally got that text 3 or 4 days ago from Buddy, and I wanted to be like, the rut is actually the same time every year. Spoiler alert. Because, asterisk, underline, italics, photoperiodism is, so this is how amazing God is he and tell me if I'm saying this wrong, but he built whitetail animals and just tons of other creatures to be able to gestate the period that he wants them to gestate, to have their offspring in the spring at the time that they can be the most successful at raising them.
Yes.
And in them being victorious in making it, through their young age as a fawn. So if you go backwards, he triggers them to go into heat when he needs that to be. And the way he built them to be triggered, which is just how you can think a big bang just created all, it's just laughable to me. Even in whitetail deer, is that the daylight gets shorter every day. It gets a little bit shorter. And God built a calendar in them, a clock. He built an app in them that it says, hey, we have less light, which means we have a shorter day. Less light, which means we have a shorter day. Now, what you are saying, because Brian used to tell me this. I used to get texts from Brian. I remember a couple falls ago. It was like October 23rd. And he's like, they're on fire. And I'm like, buddy, it's October 23rd. They can't be on fire. We know.
This is supposed to be the law.
That's another one. But, we know that it's the November 7th through the 18th, or, whatever you want to say. Well, what you were saying was we experienced a trick to their eye.
Correct.
Okay, we're going off the photoperiodism calendar, which is absence of daylight, but what you are saying, when we have a light event, I took all these words to get you to, what do you mean by, we didn't have any light events? To me, I'm making the argument you're saying we didn't have any light events to shift them from their normal, boring, regular calendar to give us some excitement.
That's correct.
Okay.
Yes.
Because it's a normal, boring one where we're like, well, we're just not seeing any chasing.
Right.
Yeah, because he built it as a really pretty curve.
Right.
How does the weather disrupt the curve of the light?
So the earlier inside that curve, and I don't know if you can put that on the screen, Braden. I think I might have mentioned it the last time too, but I gave you that study that shows when the breeding occurs based on road kills. The The earlier in the curve, the longer the light event needs to be to trigger the doe.
Okay.
Because there's more and more daylight out there. So last year, we had a couple of hurricanes that went up the coast. We had 4, 5, 6 days in a row with overcast weather. That'll pop a doe in a minute.
Why? Why? You know why. I'm just trying to break this down to someone who...
Yeah.
Like I say, my wife even like jokes and snarks at me. She'll say, I know it looks really bucky today.
Yeah.
It just looks really bucky.
Yeah.
Well, what is a bucky day in our brains? Like, what does that look like? Why?
Yeah. So again, it's the way God built them. God built them so that the species would survive and they would not all breed at the same time. And the reason I believe, can't speak for God, but the reason I believe...
Come on the podcast sometime if you want.
I believe that he built it that way is if they all got bred in a 5-day window, 10-day window even, let's say that, and you had a significant weather event in May or June or whenever that would be, they'd all die. You'd lose a generation of deer.
Yep.
Well, God made a perfect plan so that even if you have that catastrophic event, some deer were born earlier. They're going to be strong enough to survive, and some of them may not even be born yet if it were to hit at the peak.
Well, going out onto this is why you see fawns with spots. Fawns with spots. This is why you see fawns with spots in September.
Correct.
Or like, guys will say, that's the craziest I've ever seen. Because that fawn was born very late,
That's
obviously, and you're seeing the tail end of the breeding curve and successful breeding curve. So the light event, let's make this like the Chat GPT version.
Yeah.
They didn't have a light event. When you say that, it means we didn't have 3 or 4 days of cloudiness where the sun could not vividly affect their photoperiodism brain ecology, or however you want to say that. Their brain calendar.
Yes. So that curve, as daylight gets shorter and shorter, it's somewhere around the 25th of October is when those light conditions can get right, just like us. My metabolism's a little different than yours. Some does. They're not all the same. They're unique. And so around the 25th, God designed it so that if we had a drought, they're still going to come into estrus. Now, that 14th peak breeding may be pushed out to maybe even as much as the 20th. Yep. If we were in drought-like conditions and didn't get anything. And all you guys can remember, well, I can, and I guarantee there's other viewers out here can remember this too. I can remember during the gun season in West Virginia years ago, there's been many seasons I've hunted in a T-shirt,
Well, and I always remember my buddy Jimmy would call it an Indian. We were having an Indian summer, and I'm like, I never heard that term,
I've heard
but
that.
I can remember also being in November in a T-shirt or going to stand, just wearing a base layer, wondering what in the world am I doing? I could be.
We
in
had a
gym
year
shorts.
like that just a couple years ago, actually.
And we have to remember that temperature helps deer movement. Temperature helps deer movement
because it's more comfortable.
Well, it's more comfortable to them,
right?
Yeah, and
but the rut still happens.
The rut still happens because when you get more movement, you get more interaction, and that's why people say, "Well, it's frosty this morning, man. The deer should be rutting hard."
There's still well, and there probably is some clout to that of. They could be feeling their oats more.
Correct.
They're more comfortable. They may want to travel a longer distance to find all.
Yeah.
But back to the rut happens at the same time every year.
Right.
To me, and this is an interesting tie I think is worth making here. You ever hear, like, I never study deer as deep as what apparently a lot of people do, but like the We Are Hunter guy, he talks about this doe that goes into estrus every year in his backyard, like behind his house, like November 5th or 6th. Like every year, you just know it. 5th or 6th. That's her calendar. And there's always a big buck in the yard, 5th or 6th. She's in heat, period, happens. And you just kind of think, oh, whatever. Do you believe, because I've heard Don Higgins and other guys say, they believe that calendar is built in that deer, period, at birth. That it's built because it's genetic DNA that makes that calendar built. That doe goes into heat within a day or two of the same day every year.
I think the evidence would show that, and I don't think I think that bucks have a we can. That's a whole
Oh,
other topic.
I don't think I know where you're going. They know the calendar.
Yeah, they know the calendar
I
too,
mean,
and
I think he has said that as well, that the same deer will get there. And no, and go back to these. You guys have heard the homecoming run. I've heard of the homecoming run, where if you have these bucks all summer and then they disappear and you're sad like me, I'm with you. R.I.P. to like all my deer.
Trying to find that old friend from summer.
Well, that's it. They go. Don talks about them making a homecoming run, and that they will historically do it on the same days. Well, okay, weird tie here. Hot take. They're doing it on the days they know their home doe is going to heat.
Yeah, I think there is a lot to that. There's evidence out there to tie that together, and I think Don's exactly right. And because I've seen it time and time and time again, and
so if you guys just hey, if you want to get real geeky here, I'm never going to be there. So if you want to share your data, please. I just enjoy hunting. If you want to write all your does gestation calendars down, that'd be super cool app to have. Nanny 1, Nanny 2, Nanny 5.
Yeah.
You can build your own graph for where to hunt.
I think it even comes down to, like, you ran into this with Brownie James, where a couple years prior he showed up on November 3rd, and you were like,
Who are you?
Well, you were like, the following year, you hadn't seen him all year, but we were like, might as well go in there.
Yep.
And I think actually 2 years in a row, he was there that same day. And so, like, do you guys believe in that internal calendar that the Drurys always talk about, where a buck will show up, a mature buck like that will show up on the same calendar day?
I do.
Yeah, I have
think
a
it
very
points to
good friend of mine that has some evidence over the last 10 years that is scary accurate to show that.
Is that somebody
Now,
we can get on the podcast?
It is. Oh,
Who's
yeah.
that? You
Yeah,
know?
Ross.
Oh, yeah, let's do it.
Yeah, he so there are two things that can change that. And let me just show, because I know somebody out there right now is pulling their hair out. So
we do have to promise to get to what's coming.
Yeah. So the one thing,
we are the worst commercial teasers ever.
the worst thing that can change that as it pertains to the doe is if her pregnancy does not take.
Yep.
Then that can change her calendar. And a major change in food source can also change a deer's calendar a bit as well, even though he's not coming there for food.
Yeah.
He's
I we got to go on a trail here for a second. Okay, second rut. I want to talk about this because you just said, and let's say her pregnancy doesn't take.
Yeah.
All right, I've heard several theories on the second rut here, and maybe all of them are correct, maybe none of them are. Here's my three in my ADD brain. You just said one. This is new to me. Her pregnancy didn't take, so could she cycle again? Don't answer yet. Three of them. We're gonna break them all.
Okay.
Pregnancy doesn't take. She goes into heat again. Number two, I've heard something about a 70-pound rule. I heard of something where these deer, if they get to a certain amount of pounds, give or take, that they will be able to go into estrus successfully, and or be bred successfully. I think this is a God thing, if the 70-pound thing is a thing. And then the last one, number three, I have heard, if wildly enough she doesn't successfully if she doesn't get bred in rut one, Sweet November, she goes back in a 28-day window. There's three things. Which, or are all of these a thing that builds a second rut?
So
you remember all three? If you do, you're better than me.
No, I do. And if Shannon sighs more, if you're listening to this, please drop those photos in the comments.
I think he's scheduled. Shannon's scheduled to be on, I'm pretty sure, or he will be.
Shannon is.
I think Shannon's coming on.
Shannon is legit.
He has killed a deer before?
Yeah, one or two.
Okay. Carry on. So what does he say? I've never heard of her.
So Shannon actually can show you pictures of deer that were born in November.
Surely they'll die.
So anyway, I know that sounds crazy, and I know about half of your viewers out there just went, what?
So we have three takes on this second rut. So I just want to give a second rut just for a minute. We'll get into this week.
It's 90-pound rule.
90 pounds.
A lot of those does, the pregnancy won't take, but she will give pheromones off. But she's not developed enough in her sexual organs in order to be able to carry the. But the buck doesn't know that. All he knows is he's got pheromones in the air.
So he will breed her in November. Let's just say, for ease of conversation, on rut 1, he will breed her.
No.
She just put something off in rut 1, or no?
That's usually the deer you're seeing chasing in December and January.
Right.
You'll hear people talk, man, he was on a fawn.
Christmas. I remember people like Christmas week, first week of January saying, I've been seeing a giant buck chase a 90-pound doe, a fawn.
So that is true. There is a magic weight number there that most biologists agree on.
What is it?
What's 90.
90, okay.
Yeah.
Well, I might have just said it wrong. Maybe I always knew that. So there's a weight that you're saying if the deer doesn't get to 90-ish, they won't even put off pheromones in the second rut.
Correct.
They'll just skip a year, period.
And there are some that actually can take, and I don't know the percentages of it. I haven't
Sure, and I'm sure it's not like a line in the sand.
Right. And so, but the bucks don't know the difference.
Well,
so
yeah.
So yes,
so
and
90 pounds. There's take 1.
She is on a 28-day cycle.
Okay.
Now that 28-day cycle, and when it begins and so on and so forth. Think about this. She may get impregnated, and on November the 10th, let's say.
Well, or October 15th.
Let's say October the 15th.
She's in that 20% window of October.
There you go.
We all. Well, now November 15th.
Yeah. So let's say though she carries that baby for 2 weeks and then has miscarriage. So she may be on a 45-day cycle before she comes back in again.
Okay.
So you'll see deer actively breeding through the month of January. That's in earnest. Those are rules of thumb. Before you comment, I already know what you're going to say. I'm just talking about generally speaking. Through the month of January, their testosterone levels are high enough. They on a good year, bucks should lose their antlers about the middle of February. If you see bucks carrying their antlers into the middle of March, your buck to doe ratio is generally too high. And that's why their testosterone levels are having to stay so high so they can impregnate those does. And so
I thought, man, this is a wild sidebar. We'll go on this one another day, but I thought that was a lot more linked to nutrition.
It is. It all plays a role in it. Yeah. So nutrition is a big deal when it comes to the rut. And, we can talk about light conditions. We can talk about all those things. But at the end of the day, God put something in those deer so that they know when they need to preserve energy. On years when you have low mass, years when you have, the rut will be shorter, but very intense. Very intense. But they would all die and would not survive the winter if they were running wide open.
Well, that, and I think it's the food supply and demand.
Yeah.
So all right. So let me close a couple loops here.
Yeah.
There is a second rut.
There is
1,000%. Do you think it is a tie-dye shirt of causes? And, one color is they almost hit 90 pounds. Another color is they had a miscarriage on the first rut.
Yep.
Another color is they didn't get bred at all in the first rut. I mean, how many more colors is there?
Yes,
but it's a mutt dog of reasons we have a second rut.
Yeah, there's a litany of reasons.
There's not one that, I guess I'm saying, there's not one that is overwhelmingly the reason for a second rut.
No, okay. But now, having said all that too, you got to realize that's pretty rare. So everyone thinks
which one's rare?
So the number of does that don't take when they're being bred the first time
is pretty rare.
That's actually pretty rare.
So let's say this then: even if there's not an overwhelming driver for the second rut, what would be the highest percentage or highest cause of the second rut? What are the most?
So again, it depends on nutrition. On low nutrition years,
let's say a normal year or a low nutrition, whichever.
So on a low nutrition year, her body is not being receptive to carrying a baby through the winter and her surviving as well.
Okay.
And so her reproductive organs when your wife is pregnant, you want to make sure she eats well.
Yeah.
Okay. Same thing with animals.
And do we want to go into fetal programming someday? I've fully bought into that, but I am fully, bought into the fetal program.
But that's just her simply not the pregnancy simply not taking is I'm sure the biggest reason. The factor, I would say the number one factor is probably nutrition. If I was being honest, that
okay. So all right, I'm desperately attempting to close this here. Normal year. What causes a second rut, or maybe is it as visible or prevalent or out there in a normal year?
Yeah, it's not. So the second rut, you'll hear more people talk about it during a normal year because most of those fawns will actually reach that. They have enough food and access to food to reach that weight limit. So people will say.
So a lot of it, would you say in a normal year, the fawns is the overwhelming cause?
Yes,
the overwhelming majority of what's being bred.
Yes.
Is your fawns, and we're going to call them first year fawns, or would we not?
Yeah, absolutely.
These are fawns
that were born in the spring,
and they can
hit
be
the magic number.
Wow.
Yeah. Now again, oftentimes their sexual organs are not developed enough to be able to carry the baby, but they can give off pheromones.
Is that not wild that a 7-8 month old deer can be bred?
Yeah, for sure.
Phew. Okay. All right. We went second rut.
So, the moment we've all been waiting for.
Yeah. I wish we could put a Michael Scott in here. What is happening? What is happening out here?
So, we're in Illinois.
Yeah, and we have to dismiss today, I think, to be fair to what is happening.
Yeah.
Prior to today, I could quote a lot of Step Brothers quotes because it wasn't great.
Yeah.
Prior to today, spoiler alert, today's the 8th. State of the 8th. Pretend we're not talking about today. We'll talk about today last.
Yeah, so I mean, we noticed the first day or so that we were here, it was very warm. And
we still saw deer. We're lacking sleep, but we still saw deer. I just don't think. Well, I mean, when you look on the calendar, it just was very not November 5th, 6th-esque.
Yeah, the does weren't nervous. They were still in feeding patterns, and when we were seeing them, they were coming off food plots or crop fields and
coming from everywhere.
And that was about it. So you didn't see.
I didn't see any bucks making scrapes either.
Yeah, it was.
I mean, we even watched. We watched one. We watched two of them walk straight by the one predominant scrape in the area we were hunting.
Yeah.
And we were really just waiting to get the footage, hit the scrape, and never happened. Cruised right.
Back to brackets, skipping steps. Well, they just skipped one today. So
okay, so we just want to jump into today. Well, I guess let's the little precursor to today would be for me. If you've thought it was a weird first week in November, you're not the only one. There's tons of people much smarter than us that
for sure
have said that as well. A ton of people who get, and I would say it this way. I would be very careful ever listening to advice in the outdoor world or anybody that you want to aspire to be like. I'd be very careful taking advice from someone who doesn't have the ability to have lots of data to give input.
Right.
So put in the hunting world, if they haven't had a lot of seat time or had the ability to have a lot of seat time and tree stand time, really don't listen to them because there's a lot of wild ideologies out there. I like to listen to the guys that I know are spending hundreds, if not thousands of hours of seat time every year to produce what we see on YouTube or TV or whatever, where we're like, oh yeah, it's cool. Lee just killed another big deer. Lee, whoever you want to say, Lukowski, Lee Ellis, whoever, any Lee you want. We just easily say, oh, well, duh, we just expected it. Lee Lukowski killed a big deer. And then when you dive in, it's like, no, dude, it took 99 sits.
Exactly.
Okay. So let's talk about the data. Yeah. If you've had a weird November, point of all that, if you've had a weird November so far, here's what I'd say. Take your whiteboard or your Etch-a-Sketch, erase it. Mm-hmm. Just erase it. Stop comparing it to last year. Stop comparing, you're not a bad hunter, blah, blah, blah. They skip steps, so you're going to have to skip some as well.
Yeah.
All right. To today.
Yeah, Brian, what was your initial thoughts on today?
Yeah, your thoughts, and we'll start with your hunt first, and then we'll talk about ours. Because Braden and I have been in a tree together. Brian has been in a tree by himself. Ask him how many interviews he's done on camera. Anyway,
I'm getting beat over here because I didn't
big
do
deal.
the
But
morning
aside,
interview.
but aside from seeing deer, what
Yeah.
were your initial thoughts just on the day as a whole?
I think we
When it
expected,
came down to weather and everything like that.
I think with the overcast conditions the day prior and coming into today, I think we kind of knew it was ready to blow, and today it did, and I think that right now, as it stands in the Midwest, this front that we're having pops the rut, and the rut as we know it again. I know there's
the
nuances.
visual aspect that we get to see and write articles about and dream dreams about.
This morning, the reality is that, I won't talk about your guys' hunt, but we could have very easily and had,
knock some tags.
We could have had some tarsal gland on the tailgate today.
Yeah. I had a 170-inch buck in this morning, as well as a 155-inch buck. The 155 almost ate it today. I got to say, if I had a limb, I couldn't get a shot.
Well, me and Braden know that you did because we let him go to the best stand.
So they were very, very, very.
There's a rule about
today.
not bringing sandbaggers to camp, and then it's Dad. It's Dad who does it to us. It's like, boys, go over and sit clear on the far corner. You know what
I really think you guys should go over there.
You know what I'm going to do? I'm going to go in the heart of the timber and crack the horns, and you'll never believe that I saw a lot of good bucks today. Like, oh, really?
Yeah.
And we were over on the dog fence over the corner.
November's for the timber, baby. But
all right. So talk about your hunt.
So
literally talk about your hunt. Dive into it.
I had a lot this morning when I got up in the stand. Before I could ever get the camera arm set up, I could hear deer coming back into the wood block. And
what's the setup? Where are you at? What's it like?
So I'm in a piece of wood block that runs north and south, elongated. Imagine a rectangle. Again, I'm trying to keep it simple here. Mm-hmm. And there are 3 points that run into this wood block. Each of those points contain oaks. Each one of them. There are oak trees even in the small little finger that juts off. So there's a lot of high protein, high fat food here for these deer. There are cornfields to the east or west, yes, and a pasture field to my east. And so we knew we had a west wind this morning. And so I dropped to the far eastern portion of the property, walked along a fence line, and literally got right in the middle of the property. I was in the middle of the property over a mock scrape that Tyler and I had made when we were here back in August, I think. I think it was August. But anyway, and that scrape has just lit up.
I mean, that scrape's honestly, I think that camera alone has given us almost single-handedly the entire bit of inventory of what's been on this farm.
It has, yeah.
I mean, we could have almost inventoried this farm's just over 100 acres.
Yeah.
We could have inventoried that thing with one camera almost.
Yeah.
This one's anyway, you're in the timber.
Yeah,
a bunch of crops to the west.
I'm in the timber this morning, and I'm anticipating these deer to be coming off of the crop field and grab a bite of acorns before they go off to the fingers to my north and south.
And here's one more ad.
Yeah.
Our farm, what's different what is always a chess match out here in what I would call the true Midwest is when are the crops out?
Right.
And our farm, out of miles of farms, is the only farm that still has the corn standing.
Right.
There's probably 40 acres of standing corn. He's in there trying to shell it as we speak.
Right.
So I'm just adding that nuance because when you say coming off the crop fields, a lot of these fields around us, we could see deer for 500 yards away because they're all open crop fields.
Yeah,
everything was cut. These guys, majority, I'd say by October 15th, probably 90% of the Midwest was cut where we are at. This guy has been, he's got older equipment. Our farmer, just small timer, great guy, older equipment though, and he just kind of does it at his pace. This could probably be one of his last years, if I had to guess. He's definitely struggling. Yep. So, anyway, I'm just adding that to say you've got standing crops when we talk about deer coming off of crops. If you've ever hunted where you got a big standing cornfield and you're a bow hunter and you're on the edge of it in the timber, like they just come out of it.
Right.
You don't
Right.
like you want to tell yourself they're not in there and they are. They're
Right.
just in it. They're
sure.
in the standing corn.
For sure.
Carry on.
Today was a testament to that. And so as daylight was beginning to break, I could hear deer all around me, either coming from or going to, and it's fairly open there, and we had the luxury of, this was the first time that stand was hunted. So I didn't want to get in there before daylight and blow it up right off the bat, because this has the potential to really see any deer that's on the farm.
It did. So jump in. What'd you see?
So about 9 o'clock this morning, or 9:30, I'd have to look at my text messages to see. I began to grunt. I was going to go into a rattling sequence, and I really just got out my initial grunts. And behind me, I hear footsteps as I am literally facing the other way, getting ready to grab my rattle bag. And here comes this beautiful, 8-point. It's amazing. It always amazes me how their GPS, when you call to them, they know exactly where you're at,
And did he come to the downwind side?
He did. He actually came right to the downwind. So he circled me because I know he came from the south. But anyway.
I'm always telling Braden this, like when we're rattling, I don't like or grunting or calling.
Yeah.
Like I intimately want to understand what is downwind. Where is downwind?
For sure.
I like to do it when the wind shifts, sidebar.
Yeah.
I like to do it when the wind shifts because I can kind of knock them off their guard because they don't have time to get to it.
Yeah. And if you're wondering how and why, he didn't bust me downwind, first off, I'm reasonably high in this tree. I have some natural elevation that I've gained on him, and he is coming up very close to me.
Wait, hold on. So he didn't bust you because all your dead downwind products?
You know what I think about all that stuff.
All the scent thief and the spray and the ozonics and all that. Sorry, back up. I do think ozonics has its place, but
do you really?
Oh yeah, 100%.
Really?
Yeah. That one has its place. Okay. Not in a tree.
Okay.
Well, anyway, we'll stay. We'll just leave that one.
Got you.
Scent control is a myth.
So the 8 points walking up the hill.
He's walking up the hill.
Back to the hunt. That's a commercial break. Scent control is a myth. All right, carry on.
He's walking up the hill literally in the same steps that I walked into the stand on. And he comes in, he stops at the tree, he looks around, you can tell he's intense. I couldn't hear him vocalize anything, but he looked over and sees the scrape. And he actually went over and worked it. I've got great video of him actually working the scrape.
This big 8?
No, that was the first 8.
Okay.
Yeah. So that was the first buck that came in. He turns around, doesn't see anything, and meanders off. No issues. After he gets away, I'm listening a little bit, and probably 20 minutes later, I decide to go at it again. Because keep in mind, I've never rattled yet. I just really got through my grunt sequence. We could talk about calling sequences on another podcast, but I got through what I do for this time of the year. And so anyway, I do that again, and about 20, 25 minutes later, something like that, and I hear a pretty big crunch behind me about 4 or 5 minutes after I finish that up and turn around to an absolute giant. And I can see his antler tips. Again, he's walking literally in the same path that I had walked up on. And no doubt shooter. No doubt. I think he was a 170-inch buck. And he was by himself. And so he comes up to the top. And Tyler, when we were building this in, Tyler had taken his foot and had actually kicked some of the leaves out, if you remember. And if you remember where the deadfall was, where it actually peaks out, that's where he was standing.
You mean kick the leaves out like for the access path
Yes,
in?
for the access path in, excuse me.
Well, no, I stole that from, I even think it was Bomar that talked about taking an electric leaf blower and everything.
Yeah.
I went on an outfitted hunt out here many moons ago with Ryan Bland. Ryan, love you, mean it. And he had all these stands raked out, like literally raked the paths to him. And I literally could have cried laughing. I thought it was so silly. And I was like, you're literally kidding me? Like, this just seems like a circus.
Yeah. It works, yeah. A long time, yeah.
Especially if you're going to a big timber stand.
Yeah.
Dude, how many times do you go in the timber and you're like,
Right. Trip over that log.
We just slipped in. Like, dude, I heard you from 100 yards. Well, there was no slipping. Every deer's gone. We didn't have a lead blower that day. I mean, that was just if you remember that day we punted. It was super windy.
Yeah.
Super windy. It was warm and windy. It was like October 23rd, way later than when we should really be doing these.
Right.
We were out here. So we shifted that day to like, let's just prep stands for when the calendar goes NOV. And I kicked that trail. I mean, I side kicked that trail for 150 yards because I knew this stand is in here.
Yeah.
It's in here. This is not like 10 yards from the fence. This is 150 yards into the woods.
Yeah.
So
it worked well too. No, it worked really well.
Helps you get in there.
He comes up and he's looking for the sounds that he had heard. And as he's standing there, he kind of turned his head to the left. I remember that. And I could see those big long tines. And now at this point, I'm facing the tree and I'm trying to run the camera with my left hand. And he puts his head down and starts to eat acorns. You'll see it in the film there, but there's an oak tree that he's standing right beside of. And as soon as he dropped his head, I grabbed the rangefinder and he was 40 right on the number, and which is a shot where a feeding deer. I would have taken that shot at him, no issues. But there was just too much brush, and one thing I won't do is hope that it gets there, and so I couldn't have. Wounded an animal like that, there's just no sense in that. But as he began to walk, had he walked another 10 yards, I would have had a lane to shoot. But he didn't. He ate a little bit. He was there for quite some time and turned and went straight over the hill. And then I caught him again as he was going down the edge of the fence line back to the south. So
why didn't you grunt at him when he left or something?
Well, but that's a great question. So I'm trying to video him, and suddenly I hear another deer over here behind me, which was actually toward your all's direction on the right-hand side. And I guess it was a doe. Now you say, well, you guess. Well, I saw her later, but there was a side trail, if you remember, that came around that point. That's the trail she was on. I can hear her over there. And I just had a buck pop up. And so, but she didn't pop up. And then suddenly the one I sent you the video of pops up. So now I've got a mid-50s chocolate antlered, just a beautiful buck. And maybe you can put the footage up of that I sent you.
So hold on, the video you sent us, I thought was the 170.
No, he didn't get footage of the 170.
That's the one. It's on my camera.
Okay.
Yeah.
That was the 150. So, I mean, he had the two biggest bucks on the property.
I shot him twice.
I would have shot that one. Yeah, he was a beautiful deer. He had that palmation, Yeah, I was going to shoot. I had him at 35 yards. I just couldn't get a reasonable lane to shoot. So his doe is below him, which I believe, I've got a theory, that 170 was probably with that doe and had just turned her loose, and he's still smelling the pheromones. I hope it came through on the video, but the doe's just ahead of him. So the doe's below him. He's up on my level, and instead of him turning to walk away, he comes on out and begins to angle away. But he actually came closer to me. He was 35 yards at that tree, but there was just too many branches there, and I just couldn't get one through. And I'm trying to film. And I'm not in the saddle. I'm in the stand. And it's a long lean out there, And so he just never gave me a shot. And then when I realized I wasn't going to get a shot, that's when I pulled my cell phone out, and that's the video I sent to you guys of him. But so he leaves, and Braden sends me a text and says, and I'm texting these guys, hey, I've got a booner down here,
Oh no, let's be clear.
No. It was we're not texting, right? We'll tell you how our hunt went. We just get a text, booner.
Double exclamation, just booner.
And so I'm like, what?
I'm like, he shot a booner.
Oh no, I didn't say shot a booner.
He only said booner.
And because we had sent a picture of something like a small buck.
I thought maybe he was replying to that.
And he said booner, and we were like, oh man, he's funny, ha ha ha. But then it was like no response for 5 minutes, and we were
So
like,
now I'm really like, he did shoot a deer. Like,
so now we're like,
Oh, that's when that. So when you guys were texting me,
literally.
this is when this 155 is there.
yeah. So so it sounds like you texted us in between
That's
The
right.
two.
That's
170
exactly
walking
what
away
happened.
and 150 walking up.
Yeah.
So now Tyler's like, I'm just gonna call him.
I'm like, he must have killed a booner. I don't know what this
Yeah.
means.
Yeah.
I think Tyler's really like,
Yeah.
I'm hoping the tree stand buzz. I'm hoping the tree stand buzzes.
Yeah.
Start running this way.
So
Yeah, I mean, I was mad that he killed the booner. Anyway, I don't know what.
He was just trying to make whatever noise he could.
Yeah.
So that deer leaves. I get a little bit of footage from him on the cell phone. I hope I got a lot on the camera. We're going to hook it up here after a bit and see. But anyway, and then I see some other deer coming in and out of the crop field. They would come into the oaks a little bit and then go right back in. And these are 100 yards away or so, maybe 125 yards away. And that was the third buck. Yeah, that was the third buck. And then later in the morning, I caught movement again along the edge of that cornfield up there where there was quite a bit. There's a pretty good travel route up there. Almost noon, I would say, 12:30 or so. I caught a really good deer. Now, how good? It was very difficult to see. He was moving in and out. When I first saw him, I could just see his legs, and then I caught a glimpse of his body and his rack.
You don't think it was the 150?
No, his antlers were too light. Now the 150, when you kill him, we're going to get him before he's chocolate horn. He is so chocolate. He's beautiful, beautiful animal. But this one had he was well out past his ears. He looked pretty good to me. I can't swear which buck it was. So anyway, so he goes into the corn. Make a long story short, we have this weather channel telling us that we got this major storm coming, So we had decided to get down, and since we were going to get rain, I wanted to go check another area. And when I did, that's when I walked up on the 8-point that was bedded. So Braden had sent me a picture and said, hey, here's a buck that was
At a scrape in between the two of us.
Yeah, it was like right in between the two of us, and I wanted to go check that stand out up there. And sure enough, after that deer made the scrape, he decided to walk about another 40 yards and just lay down. So I walked up on him. So yeah, I saw 5 bucks this morning. All those bucks were active with the breeding process. Even that 8 had just made the scrape. And again, Braden has it on.
And is it arguable to say that 4 of those 5, if not all 5, I don't know what you said how big the first one is, were mature deer on their feet moving?
So 4 of the 5 bucks were mature deer that I think we would arrow. 3 of them, though, were directly behind does. Now, the chocolate deer, the mid-50s buck, I think he was wasting his time. But the 170 was by himself. Totally by himself, comes directly to the call, pops up, looks, doesn't see what's there, gets occupied, starts to feed over the hill. So, yeah, it's on. I mean, it really, it's...
me and Tyler, you could probably agree. We had
You lay it out there.
Unreal hunt. I think a good place to start, though, is yesterday evening, actually. Mm-hmm. Got back in the same stand that we hunted this morning. We were running a little late, had to do some stuff with the camper, get stuff. So we were coming in a little late, but we were like, we're just going to go. We'll get everything set up.
And this is last night.
Yeah. So we're like, we'll just get everything in there, even if we get in late, so that this morning we'd be golden. Well, last night we're fiddling about. Me and Tyler are both getting frustrated with stuff in the tree stand, per usual. And me and Tyler made a pact at the beginning of the week that if someone says buck, 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 it's not a joke. It's not a thought. There's a buck coming. Start turning on cameras.
You set up well now, don't you?
Well, when you're filming, I always want to be the guy making the joke, but it doesn't help because then when you have to get going, we both have multiple cameras. We're trying to decide, unashamedly, I've told Braden, the big boy's mine. There's a lot of boys he'd shoot, a lot, right? And so we're filming and hunting together, and it's awesome. I'm getting to watch him I've talked about it, watching Kevin Harris at 20 and coming out here with Andy Border and doing the outfit. Like, I'm getting to watch him do that where you get to see the Midwest. So carry on. We're messing around yesterday evening. It's late.
What were we fixing my platform? I think it was.
This is a huge red oak tree. It's really big. It's probably 30 inches around, and it's kind of leaning. But it's a big tree.
So side note, Tyler, 6'3", long legs, can just wrap his legs around these trees.
Yep. Not an ounce of fat.
Just
top shape.
runs a 4.4 now.
Yeah.
But he can just wrap his legs around these trees and just hang from them and hang these platforms. Well, me, I'd take a little longer to hang a platform. I'm up there, I get it set where it needs to be, and I get in, and Tyler gets up there, and he's like, I don't think you're high enough. There's a limb in the way. So I kind of just held onto a limb over top of me. I was strapped in and everything. I was like, I'm just going to hold here, and Tyler can raise it up. No sooner than he raised it up, he still, I think, has his arms around the tree. It wasn't buck, buck, buck. It was freak, freak, freak. And I'm like, wow, I'm in a terrible position right now.
And I did say freak, to be clear.
Yeah. And so I'm like, holy smokes, this 170 that we've seen on camera is coming. And I'm like, where? And he's like, look down.
And it's
5 yards away from us. It wasn't the 170, but it was a great mature deer. Maybe would have shot him. Don't know. Would have had to get, but he was just cruising. And so that was how we started the weekend off, or the week off. But side note, I just wanted to say that because we went in yesterday evening, got everything set up, only brought out our packs and the cameras, and then this morning got up, took the e-bikes in. Thought we had a very good entrance, honestly.
Yeah, I was pretty good with it.
We were pretty quiet, got in there pretty clean, and as soon as we're getting the cameras set up, daybreak hits, and we can see some does still out in the field. Nothing crazy, kind of just walking back and forth. They could have been bucks as well. It was too dark to really identify what it was. But once,
and this is a massive cut cornfield. You know, this one that's talking about. I mean, it's just big.
So you can just see walking figures at this point. But as soon as it was like legal shooting light, we can see everything. I'm like, man, that's a big bodied deer walking her out probably 300 yards away. What'd you say? And I'm looking and I'm like, all right, it's a buck. Tyler grabs the grunt, and I'm looking at a buck. I'm looking at one buck, and he hits his grunt.
I only thought there was one buck at this point. I only saw the one.
Like I said, it's first this shooting light, like
probably not even legal light yet. It's probably close.
Yeah,
but it's not probably legal yet.
So Tyler hits the grunt call, and I'm like, well, Tyler hasn't fully seen this deer yet. I'm just like, hit it. That buck raised its head up, and I was like, okay.
At 300 yards, probably.
Yeah.
Just here's the grunt, which blew my mind.
Stopped on a dime. Like, as soon as he grunted that first time, stopped on a dime. And I went, he heard that. And so...
Well, I don't even think at this point we already have... I don't even think we have the cameras latched or anything.
I think
we might just have latched
like
them.
DJI, like, I think we're still, like, actively putting cameras out. And Tyler's like, I'm going to hit the rattle. And I kid you not, as soon as he cracked those antlers first time, full 90-degree turn.
Not even a walk, a trot.
Full out
straight
sprint,
at us.
Dead at us. And Tyler's like,
I said, then there's two.
They're coming. And he's like, it's the one in the back, not the front. And I'm like, what are you talking about? Because he was on the back side of the tree so he could see a little better. So I kind of swing my head around and I'm like, oh my gosh, there's two bucks at a full out sprint coming to us. And I'm like,
from 300 yards, probably
I'm
still.
like, wow, this is what they're talking about.
I was just telling him, dude, get your camera on, get your bow, get your camera.
I'm just
do the whole drill. Like, go, move.
I grab it.
Do what you need to do.
And by the time we go from they're running to I grab my bow, the one in the front that was like a little 6-point is 35 yards away. Like, this is how fast they're moving.
I need to add a short side note. We were at a disadvantage. We only had one set of binoculars.
Yeah.
Man, that hurts.
Someone at this
right. Yeah.
Someone at this table.
Had we had a second set, we probably could have killed him. Has nothing to do with what he's going to tell you in a second.
But so, anyways, I have my bow in hand at this time. I'm not even. Well, Tyler's like, grab your camera. The camera's not even ready at that point yet. So Tyler's just. I'm like, I'm just hoping Tyler has his camera ready by the time this deer walks in. I mean, they are on a rope.
I'm holding my bow too.
Yeah, because
I knew the back. I said the back one's a shooter. I could
like,
see his frame was out past his ear like 6 inches on one side. I could just see that. So and that's at like 200 yards.
So
and
we
they're
both
moving
kinda
so fast. It's hard to get I put my binoculars on my bow. You know how people put them. I'm like trying to really.
it's foggy.
Like, what is going on? I don't know because they're coming so fast.
I mean, we didn't even have all of our camo on yet. Like, I didn't even have jacket or anything. This is how early it was. But anyways, so this first one walks by, and Tyler's like, there's a shooter in the back. I'm like...
I said the back one's a shooter. It's a shooter.
And that's when I looked at him, and I'm like, oh, he's pretty confident. He has his bow, too. That doesn't happen very often. Normally, Tyler's like, oh, I'm going to get Braden. Like, this is a shooter. This is a shooter for Braden.
I saw the frame.
When I turned and saw him, I was like, wow, we're going to see
you
who
could
gets
tell the
this
back one was like a third bigger than the front one. Like, by the time they got to 100 yards, you could tell we have a boss hog in the back. It's really weird or odd, peculiar, however you want to say it. These dudes were traveling together. Mm-hmm. And maybe they weren't together, but they were like
within 50 yards,
of each other when they first heard us.
Yeah.
And then they both just commit. It's almost like gobblers to me. Like, it was almost like two gobblers. Like, they were in a race to get there from each other.
But anyways, probably when this deer was 50, the ones that we thought was a shooter, was probably 50 yards away, Tyler goes, hey, it's got one side on it, but it's a really big one side. So you let me know. He was essentially saying, I'm putting my bow down, but...
He busted his entire main beam off. Had probably 4 inches left of his entire... I don't even think he had the brow.
No, I didn't see the brow.
Busted his whole beam off. I'll get the footage of it.
Yeah.
Busted his whole beam off on one side. But I promise that was at least a 4-year-old. Body-wise.
Oh, yeah.
And he came to 40 yards. He walked that strip of corn. So that's what's crazy is that strip of corn, there was we asked the farmer, and we can deep dive on any of this anytime, but we asked the farmer, we bought back screens of corn to screen our food plots. So picture 12 rows of corn, then a brassica radishes, real world plot, and then your timber. We're at the edge of the timber. Camera is at the edge of the food plot and the corn screen. These deer don't come into the food plot. They stay on the backside of the corn screen and walk the corn screen between the neighbor's cut corn and our they're on the line. Like, they're probably teetering on the fence the whole time. There is no fence, but they're teetering it. He gets to like 41 yards or so right there. I mean, there was probably 2 or 3 times we could have shot that deer.
Yeah, and I'd say, like, I saw him probably 40 yards away.
Yeah.
And I was like, man, like, it's the first day that we've had some real action. And I'm like, I just don't want to shoot a buck that only has one side. So we got some great footage. Watched them pass. There's that big scrape, probably 50 yards to the right of us. I personally think they just cruised right over there.
That one we found yesterday.
Right.
And hit that because probably half an hour later, he cruised right back.
He came back.
He came right back in front. Before we hit another grunt or anything. Like,
I think I said, man, this dude's begging to die.
Yeah. I mean, he
us.
walked the exact same one here and back. And I was like, well, if any other deer does that, we're in good shape.
He missed. I did the extra spray on I did some Hot and Ready Black Widow spray on my boots, and we walked in the middle of the plot on purpose. I told him I'm only going to spray it on one boot. I don't want to overpower him here, but I'm going to spray it on my boots, and we're going to walk right down the middle of the plot. And then I dug my boots into the dirt real heavy, about 10 yards before the stand, and just to try and stop him there. And he missed that trail. When he came back the second time, I thought he's going to hook on that and come right to us, and we'll get some awesome footage. He missed it by like 10 feet. Yeah. He missed catching that trail, and then he went out in the field where he was originally going to go. It was just kind of interesting because that whole encounter, they were going north. They were going to go way north to that block north.
Right.
They come all the way over to us east, 400 yards. He does some kind of a loop, and then he comes back west, and he heads back north. It was almost like in his brain, like he wanted to go north and he will go north at some point, but he's
like, I'm just going to go. I'm going to go put some eyes on this first.
I think he went downwind of us. You know what I mean? Because it was northwest. He went down to the downwind and was like, I don't really know. And then he came back up. And on the way back up, we saw him again at 40 yards. Yep. They used that screen. See, it's just so interesting. Those deer, dude, they come out of the wide open field and they come straight to that screen and then they walk it within 3 feet of it. They walk it.
Well, and there's an opening down at that end, and so I'm just wondering, like, he went down there to get downwind of us.
He did, and then he just didn't.
And then he's like, "Oh, there's a big scrape here. Maybe I'll."
So keep going because like this was like, oh, dude, like we could have been done there. Right. You know,
we're like, man, that was sweet. And then like we're still talking about what just happened, and Tyler's like, turn around, there's a buck. And so I'm like, oh crap. Turned out to be like probably a 2-year-old, 8-point, beautiful deer. Probably a good deer in a couple years. But if any other deer does what he did, it's a bad day for him.
He walked past that scrape that we grafted that tree back into, and I kind of thought he would hit. He smelled it. He smelled around, but you can just tell it's literally skipping steps. Right. He's just like, I don't need to make a scrape. I'm fine. Yep. I'm just going to go find a doe.
He came in across the field, right at our backs, crossed, right underneath the tree.
5 foot under the tree.
And then just kind of worked through the middle of the food plot, went back into the timber, disappeared. And then throughout the day, we'd see some other young bucks across the field working the other wood line. We saw a pretty young deer. Beautiful sight.
That was at 12:30 though. Saw a deer working scrape at the north end of that field at 12:30.
Yep.
Yeah.
12:33. I was kind of keeping track of where are we seeing true middle of the day. I was telling him it's one thing to see a buck on a doe. Okay, that's one thing, but to see a buck by himself intently looking is the other.
Well, it was about 12:30 when I texted you guys and said big buck, big buck, big buck. If you remember, I don't know what the exact time was, but it was pretty close.
Yeah, it was because we were looking at that one all the way across the field.
Yeah, so he just came out of one finger across the field and kind of just worked the wood line. Hit a couple scrapes on his way through. We didn't call at him or anything because he was young deer, but it was a beautiful sight. And then we had that one. We had one deer towards the end of our sit. We had a big gap. We had a lot of that morning activity where we saw 3 or 4 bucks.
By like 8. By like 7:30.
Yeah, it was 7:30. We've seen 4 bucks.
Yeah.
Tyler's doing his thing. He's getting excited in the tree. I'm like, oh, this is
you know those mornings where you're like, you just know. Yeah. It's just happening. It's going to happen.
I felt it this morning.
I did. I thought it was... For him to get to see, like, that's
that's what I was
to the Midwest.
That's what I was about to say. Like, I haven't had too many. For me, the rut was always prime soccer season or prime football season.
Right.
So I would always miss the rut by a couple of days. Or, like, the one year we were talking about, I took a week off of school. I was in high school at the time. I was like, let's go hunt. Well, it was 75 degrees that year. So it was a little different.
Super comfortable.
So, yeah, like I was in short sleeves the whole time.
You had to bring spray sunscreen with your estrus.
Yeah.
But, today was probably the first time that I've never seen a deer react to a grunt call or antlers rattling like that before.
Yeah.
It was like, I was like, man, does this do this all the time? Every 30 minutes when the dog's like, hey, Tyler, do that again. Yeah, go ahead.
We did. That's the most I've ever rattled. But, I've just listened to so many guys. And here's the last thing I'd say, because I'm actually hungry. I eat at 5, and it's now 6:25. So we're going to jump to, like, what's going to happen next.
Yeah, if you are still listening, thank you.
Yeah, send us sponsors.
Code, a secret word,
so
Illinois.
We had an awesome hunt. It kind of slowed down. We all got out because of the rain. But where were we even going?
The rattling.
Oh, yeah. So what I found interesting is this whole hunt. So Brian is, if a crow flies, I don't know, 200 yards from us, straight line. So this is the number one takeaway that I have for all of this. Number one, you saw all the action that he had, and you heard all the action he had. Completely different hunts than we did. We didn't see. I'm 99% sure we all didn't see the same deer.
We did not. No, I never saw
none. So we're 200 yards north as a crow flies. We're hunting the same wood block. And honestly, if we had more ground out here, I would not do that. Period. It's been, dive into the why I didn't buy a farm in Illinois. Like, this has been a really weird scenario. I just wouldn't do it. I just wouldn't have. But it's banger. It's November. We just knew it's probably fine. The point of the other takeaway here is I rattled probably 5 times. Most I've ever done it. Like, my knuckles hurt. This is the most I've ever rattled. And I so wouldn't do that if we hadn't seen the response we were getting. We are in a mega, mega open area. We're on the north end of this block. We are not even... so we could rattle, and if something was there, great, and if it wasn't, it wasn't. Period. End of story. And I keep hearing, like, Jay Gregory and these guys just talking about, you have to get in the earshot bubble of we're picturing a cruising deer. We've got to picture a cruising deer. There's cruising deer on all these farms. We've seen them. We've seen them at a distance. We're just trying to make sure that as he's in our ear bubble, that we tell him something's going on over here. I wouldn't do that like October 20th. I wouldn't do, like rattle 5 times. I wouldn't do that December 10th. It was so situational today. Here's the takeaway though. All these words. I like words. Brian's 200 yards from us. He rattles, what, 2 times, 3 times? Mm-hmm. We never heard him. Yeah. Never heard him once. We rattled 5 times. You never heard us. 4 mile an hour wind at the first part of the day. Okay. Picture just everybody, if we all just shut up for 1 second, it's like, yeah, that was this morning. I told Braden before we got in the tree, I'm like, listen to this. We have to be like super quiet. You cannot, there's not even the gentle breeze that's rustling. Yes, I was trying to be nice. Rustling of leaves, you know, like when the breeze, nothing. It was very light wind. We're cracking antlers hard as we can crack them.
I think a lot of, we were cracking
antlers. You don't even hear us.
Blow my nose.
No,
that's how quiet it was.
No. You don't even hear us. So here's the takeaway to anyone that, you know, what's the point of all that? I think it will surprise you what topography can do to what deer can and can't hear. Right. 1,000%. And so what we had in our advantage is an open cut cornfield that's easily 700 yards to the next wood block in certain areas, easily. So deer that likely weren't hearing us, no matter how good or loud or bangy I was.
Right.
They likely didn't hear us, as much as we all want to be like, oh, they can hear it from a mile away. Dude, he couldn't hear us from 200 yards away.
Right.
We couldn't hear him from 200 yards away.
And we didn't pull any of the deer that he saw over to our side.
So they couldn't hear it either.
Right.
Or we would have.
Yeah, you'd have pulled them.
So just the takeaway of like, I always thought it was super damaging, and I think at the wrong times of the year it is. Mm-hmm. But we're talking peak chaos, and these dudes are feeling their oats. Mm-hmm. Here's my deal. Crack the horns.
Yeah.
Crack them. And if this airs next Wednesday, which this airs, today's Saturday, as we're talking, this is going to air on the 12th. I would still say that. Yeah. Yep. So as you're listening to this on your way to the stand, if you're hunting a midday hunt because you have been a good dad like me and you're taking your kids to school, crack them, bud.
Yeah, with that, Brian, so we kind of, last time we were on, we did our little prediction for the next coming days, kind of to close this podcast out.
Right.
What do you see? Obviously, we're getting in the stand tomorrow, next couple of days. Well, me and Tyler will be here till Tuesday. This comes out Wednesday. What can these people see, or what do you think they'll see between now and Wednesday? And then what do you think they'll see those next couple of days, maybe the 12th to the 15th?
Yeah, I think that the next couple of days with the super high winds and the rain, deer are going to have a little trouble protecting themselves. I'm not sure that that we'll see a ton of open area movement. I still think your cameras will start to light up inside bedding areas, but when this is over, the best part of the season is coming, and you're going to see it. As soon as this front moves out, it's going to be magical. As bad as October was, there's a price to pay. Just like last year in November when guys were having a hard time getting on deer in November when they should have. That's because you're paying the price for that beautiful October.
Yeah.
Well, we've had a hard October. We're getting ready to reap it now in November because we have excess does still to be bred. On a good nutrition year, look out. It's going to be special.
Just from that, what do you see? When do you see the quote unquote rut? I know we've talked about whatever, but when do you see this peak going to?
I think you're talking about when would I expect to see chaos erupt?
Yeah. When do you see it coming?
Yeah.
And when do you see it kind of starting to slow down a little bit?
The moment that this stops, we'll have 7 or 8, 9, 10 days of absolute chaos.
And what is this stops? What?
This weather that is a little bit, that's going to subdue them just a little bit because they can't protect themselves.
So let's go into the next 20 or 48 hours worth of weather. If you guys are listening to this, we've already experienced it, but I mean, it's literally 20 to 30 mile an hour winds tomorrow, high of 29 degrees. Yeah, it's going to be that's a wild combo. The 29 I'm excited about on the degrees.
Right.
The 29 on the MPH, I'm not. So what do you do with that?
So they can't They're not going to be able to smell real well because of all the rain.
So they're just going to bed down and do nothing all day.
No. They're not going to do anything. So if I only had 2 days for the rest of the year to hunt, I would go right into the bedding area. No, I'm not giving anybody. No, that's exactly where I would be.
I mean, we've driven 7 hours and we want to bring some meat home, and some bone.
Right into the bedding area. I think where you guys are setting up tomorrow, I think of all the stands statistically, because it's the mouth of a drain. We have a west-northwest moving wind and front. Mm-hmm. You guys are going to be as protected as you can be there because... again, as it goes over, I think it'll push more of the wind into the hill. It's going to be moving fast enough. Your scent should dilute pretty good. I don't think you're going to sit there and let your wind fill up the hollow.
So if you're, I can remember hunting this, 5 years ago. Yeah. Whenever I was last in Illinois, when I hit the deer and we never recovered it.
Yeah.
The day I hit my deer, we were going in to do a hanging hunt. It was like almost 1 p.m.
Yeah.
And we were using the wind to our advantage. I remember having base layers on and, the huge backpack and the sticks and all the stuff that the outlandish, you look homeless except it costs $3,000.
Pre-saddle days.
Yeah, right. Yeah, look homeless, but the stuff's expensive. When I was going in, it was super windy. And I remember us if you'd have looked at the standing soybean fields on top of the hill, empty. You looked in the bottom of the drains, the bottom of the hollows, cruising. The deer were still cruising because we talked about this pre-podcast before we went live. God still put this genetic and this timer and this thing in them that says they need to go procreate.
Right.
So they're going to do it in whatever weather conditions we have. All right. So if it's hot, they're still having the rut. It's just at night, love in the moonlight. We just see less of it because it doesn't cool down till night.
Right.
If it's windy, okay, they don't just bed down and hunker down and the deer just aren't moving. Don't tell yourself that.
They're just not moving in the open.
You don't see it because you didn't get low enough or thick enough.
Right.
Well, that's what you're saying.
That's exactly what I'm saying. I'm saying that torrential rain has way more of an impact than wind does on deer.
Okay. So we have a rain right now as we're potting, as we're talking. But tomorrow, super, super high wind, super low temps. Like this is going to separate the men from the boys. So what we're going to do just to keep from separating men from boys is being a redneck. There's nothing redneck about it. We're going
to let the checkbook tell us that.
We're going to probably have the jet boil and some soup and all that. But real talk, 100%. And I mean this. If there was a stand down there where this redneck is, I would gladly get in the stand just as fast. I would. Yeah. This redneck is just in a hollow that's low. It's the lowest part on the farm we can get.
Yeah.
We're talking West Central Illinois. There's not a lot of elevation here.
Right.
This is as low as we can get in a drain. It's as low as we can get. So what we're banking on is that these deer are still going to travel. They are still going to try to go up that drain upwind. We are still going to be at the head of where they want to start that trip. We still believe we can. So if you're still preparing and, this has aired and, it's not going to be the only windy days that are going to have, just remember, get the wind in your face if you can, when you can, get low. Get into the cover that you want to protect yourself because magically the deer do the same thing.
Right.
And they are still going to travel.
That's right. That's exactly right.
I think the last thing with this wind that I would say, one, if you're like really eager to go scout somewhere, or you're really eager to go prep a stick or rake a trail out to your stand that's only good if you get in quiet, go do it. Do these windy days for your stuff that you're just like, I don't really want to go in there because I'll bust the deer up. Do it on a really windy day. They can tolerate, I believe, a lot more on a windy day. They will tolerate a lot more. They will stay because they know that's their cover. So do it. Or if you're like, no, dude, I'm just trying to put seat time in and go full draw, then get into the thick of it.
Yep. Right. Yeah. Yeah. I would.
No more food plot edges in this wind. No more up in the top ridge of the open timber white oaks. It's not
getting them briars.
Get in there. Get down. Right.
Yep. Absolutely.
So is that what you'd close out with?
Yep. Best of luck. Put the seat time in. God is good. Buck deers, Illinois, Ohio. I don't know.
See you again soon.
Yeah. Hopefully once this airs, we'll have a nice thumbnail to put with it. If we won't, will you guys still love us? I mean,
hopefully we disprove we just hit it.
Yeah, we just hit it. No, this has been fun. It's been super fun. I think we're going to try our best to do this more
podcast.
Often. Yeah, we'll do this more often where we can, we would have done this live. We would be, honestly, if you guys have questions or you want to comment what you're looking for answers on it, I'd love to answer this stuff
yeah.
on the podcast.
And if you guys think we should do a live podcast answering live questions with different people,
Yep.
love to know your thoughts.
Last thing, I talked last week, and we can end with this. I talked last week on the podcast about how to, get into land without credit or low money down or no money down and getting creative. And I just think that you really should take a listen to that if you haven't already, or you're skipping it, or you think it's not for you. None of what we're talking about and none of this strategy, none of this stuff feels as good. And I'm not discrediting doing this because we're hunting on leases and I have permission and I have all these things. None of what we're talking about feels as good than when you can do it on your own dirt.
Yeah.
And it's more possible to do it than ever. It is. So just don't dismiss that you can never get into this expensive land game, because I will 1000% emphatically agree it's expensive. It's never going to get cheaper. It's never going to get easier. Now is the time to really equip yourself to experience some of this stuff on your own dirt. Mm-hmm. Truly. I mean that. All this has been really fun, and I'm not diminishing that you go do this on permission farms, because we do. And I'm not diminishing this because you can apply this to a lease. I promise you, when you go kill a deer or you harvest something that you were successful on your own dirt, it hits different.
It does.
That's it.
I agree.
That's it. So that's all for us over at Legacy Acres Land Company and the Legacy Through Land Podcast.
See you soon.
Peace.
Catch you next week.
And that's going to wrap up this week's episode. If you're finding value in this content, we'd love to hear from you. It'd mean a lot if you could share with us how this podcast is helping you on your journey, and let us know of any topics you'd like us to cover in the future. Be sure to connect with us on all social platforms at Legacy Acres Land Co. and subscribe to stay updated on when new episodes drop. We hope you've enjoyed this week's episode of the Legacy Through Land podcast, and we'll see you next week.